Today we're talking about micro-influencers and what you need to know. How do you work with one, how much they cost, and most importantly, where we see businesses go wrong. In the past several years, influencers have become an even bigger deal. They've exploded across almost all industries. Although we have seen that trend leveling off a little bit in the past year or so, but micro-influencers are still a viable strategy for marketing your business. These micro-influencers are where entrepreneurs and small businesses are finding a good fit. These are either people that are more geographically based, so if you have a brick and mortar, someone who is more able to influence the local community, or they may have a very specific niche that fits perfectly with your business. They're also usually a lot easier to connect with. And the micro-influencers cover all kinds of platforms such as Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Pinterest, TikTok, Twitch, and even more. But we're going to focus primarily on talking about Instagram in this discussion because that's where most businesses are familiar with influencers. I'm going to give you an overview of how to work with micro-influencers in a minute, but I know the burning question everyone really has is how much do influencers make? Because that directly relates to the cost. Obviously, the big names, the Kim Kardashian, the Kendall Jenner, that's outside the budget of any entrepreneur or small business. And that's why micro-influencers are where you want to focus. For a lot of micro-influencers, it's a full-time job, or at least the major part of their job. They're working 8 hours a day on doing nothing other than creating content for their social channels, responding to comments and engaging, and then of course answering emails and working with their sponsors. Most of them have multiple streams of income, which is always a good recommendation for any entrepreneur. I'm not going to name any, but here's an overview of a couple micro-influencers so that you get an idea. One from Houston has about 30,000 Instagram followers, 100,000 on YouTube, and makes an annual average income from social media of about $12,000. That breaks down into ads off of her YouTube channel, for example, of around $5,000 and sponsorships of around $7,000. A micro-influencer from Miami focuses on Instagram and has about 130,000 followers. Her income's around $150,000 and it comes from sponsored content on Instagram. She does have additional streams of income outside of Instagram, which she promotes in her own channel. So again, it's multiple streams of income, but hers does center around Instagram. A newer micro-influencer has been doing it for about 6 months. She has about 19,000 followers on Instagram, and during that time has made about $6,000. Half of that from sponsored content. The price you pay an influencer really depends upon their overall reach and their follower engagement level. The larger micro-influencers can cost $10,000 per post. That's why focusing on the micro-influencers that are either geographic or in your specific business niche are really the best way for an entrepreneur or small business to go. Finding the micro-influencers, where do you find them? One great way to find a micro-influencer is to perform an Instagram hashtag search. Finding someone who is very active in that hashtag, you can check their bio. Usually they'll have a link to their website in their bio. You can check their website and you may be able to find out that they're working with other brands and then find contact information where you can reach out to them directly. You can also simply use a Google search. Type in your industry and add micro-influencer and see who pops up. Find their website and see what kind of work they're doing. A few of them may have their pricing directly on their website, but if not, just reach out to them and ask. There's also a few micro-influencer platforms that have sprung up over the years. Most of these platforms, they have functions for creation of your post, tracking of the campaigns, and analytics. Keep in mind though, most of these platforms were not designed with an entrepreneur in mind. They have annual fees of several $1,000s a year, not including the payments you're going to be making directly to your chosen influencers. But if you're using a large chunk of your budget using micro-influencers and you're tired of having to track all of them separately, that kind of platform may be a good option, and it's really easy. You can just do a Google search for them as well. The exact offering that a micro-influencer gives you can vary, but talking about Instagram in particular, there's 3 most popular post types. 2 of them for getting in front of their audience and 1 for getting them in front of your audience. To get in front of their audience, Instagram Stories is a really popular one because stories feel more authentic and genuine. It's also great because unlike posts, stories have an option to swipe up and have an immediate link to a landing page, your landing page. The big drawback is that stories only last 24 hours, so you have a great opportunity, but also a little bit of drawback. Sponsored posts are another way to go. You've seen these, I'm sure. You're familiar with them. This could be anything from a soft mention to directly tagging your business. Keep in mind these types of partnerships do need to be disclosed, which your influencer can do using a hashtag such as sponsored or ad. You can also get the influencer in front of your audience. The most popular way to do this is with an Instagram Live takeover. The influencer takes over your brand account and does a live broadcast. This makes it exclusive to your followers and lets them share personal experiences, and your audience can ask them questions and have that interaction with them. It can be a fun new way for your brand to engage with your followers. The benefit to this, unlike them doing a live on their own account, the live saves on your account and you can either download it to use in other social media, save it to your Instagram story so that it's available for another 24 hours. So it gives you a little bit more flexibility to use that live video elsewhere. The most important thing I want to talk about is where businesses go wrong when working with these micro-influencers. A lot of businesses are reaching out to micro-influencers who aren't quite at the same level of having done it enough that they really know the business side of it. The biggest thing I see go wrong is having no written agreement in place. I see at least once or twice a week a business owner saying that they sent products to one of these micro-influencers and the influencer has never posted. What should I do? My first question is always, did you have a written agreement? Keep in mind, an Instagram user has no obligation to post about your product if you've simply sent them the product with no agreement in place. You have to have a written contract in place. With a cash payment, there's a little bit more of an obligation, but still, without a written contract in place, it can be very hard to prove what that cash payment was for and what was expected in return. Remember from your Business 101 class that for a contract to really be enforceable, it needs to outline the benefit that both sides are receiving. Your contract should outline what you're both giving, quantify everything, and include deadlines. For example, if you're sending them 5 products to sample and you expect them to do 5 posts in exchange, you need to outline that. Also outline things if they're going to use your links, your hashtags, tag you, and a deadline if you have a need for it to be completed by March 15th. All of this should be outlined in your written agreement. I also always recommend, since these contracts are legal documents, you consult with an attorney to check yours over to make sure that everyone, both sides, are fully protected. You may speak to the influencer about your expectations, but any verbal conversations, even an email, isn't enough to make sure that both sides are fully clear on the expectations so that you're getting back in return what you're expecting to get back. Do you have any specific questions about working with micro-influencers or any questions about marketing in general? If so, drop your question down below, or you can visit our website, vickywoo.us, and in the bottom right-hand corner, there's a chat icon, You can click on that and ask your question there. We'll try to answer you directly, or we may choose to use your question on an upcoming episode. While you're here, check out our other videos and subscribe to our channel so that you never miss the latest marketing tips.